A reminder that each candidate has 1.5 minutes to respond to the question, and each of you also has 5 rebuttal cards. Your rebuttal can be no longer than 45 seconds. So at this time, I'd like to invite the representative from the Ottawa Carleton Wildlife Centre to come up and ask our first question this evening.
Well, good evening. My name is Donna Dubray, and I'm president of the Ottawa Carleton Wildlife Centre. I have to say it's not often that wildlife questions get to be asked at the head of the agenda, so I'm grateful. As you know, Ottawa's wetlands are a vital component of a healthy watershed. Yet, Ottawa's wetlands are under significant threat due to subdivision development and aggregate operations. Wetlands are being converted into municipal drains, really compromising them as well as the endangered species like Blanding's turtles that depend on these areas. So we're asking the candidates for mayor whether they would prevent provincially significant wetlands from being drained and or otherwise compromised for stormwater infrastructure, and just as important, would they stop the trapping and killing of beavers, a species that is crucial to maintaining our wetlands, as we're finding out more so every day, and instead adopt cost-effective conflict mitigation measures such as tree wrapping protection and water flow devices that many other cities are now across North America undertaking. Those are my questions.
Very good point. Okay, we're going to do this on a rotating basis, so we will start with Mr. Watson this time for question number 1.
Well, one of the things that we've done, Donna, and I think you would support this, is that we've stopped the expansion of the urban boundary in this latest official plan. That's something of significance because there was a tremendous push by the development industry to see the urban boundary expand. But under provincial policy, we have enough land in the urban boundary so that we don't have to go beyond that. So that will help to a certain degree. Secondly, with respect to trapping beavers, there are times that we will have to trap beavers because the Ministry of Natural Resources does not allow us to go and trap a beaver and send it too far afield for rabies reasons and so on. So there were some occasions in the Stittsville area where people's properties were at risk and the beavers were trapped. And obviously, the best case scenario is if we can minimize those, we do it. We have done, for instance, you look along Brewer Park and Strathcona Park, we have done the tree wrapping because the beavers were coming up into those trees and we wanted to protect the trees and the shoreline from erosion. So we have tried to be reasonable, but at times there are conflicts and the city does have to act, but we have to follow the guidelines put out by the Ministry of Natural Resources.
Okay, Mr. McGuire next, please.
Thank you. Donna, thank you for your question. I want to make sure I respond to as much of this as I've got context for. Ottawa wetlands is very interesting for me. The wetlands have to be preserved, of course. Here's an issue that I hear at the door in the rural areas quite a bit. Farmers who have had to deal with the city, and specifically with issues to do with municipal drains, where municipal drains haven't been cleaned properly, and they allow water to build up such that the area that they used to farm becomes what could be called a wetland. And that's very problematic for the farmer because it means that they've lost value. They've lost farming land and lost value of the property that they own. You mentioned also municipal drains, which is very important as well. There's no question that nobody wants to see a pristine wetland damaged or destroyed. However, we do have to put humans first, and that means that where there are municipal drains that need maintenance, they must receive priority attention. Otherwise, we're risking safety. One comment on beavers. I live in a rural area. I actually have beavers behind my house, some springs. And there has been an occasion where MNR had to come out and destroy a dam and trap and kill the beavers. It's tragic because my kids really love seeing them, but it's a fact of life that they are enormously destructive if they're left unchecked. And I don't disagree with you, the value of the beaver as a beautiful creature. But again, we have to put humans first, and they are capable of staggering damage to the environment.
Okay, finally, Mr. Syed.
Yeah, Donna, that's a very good question. I totally agree that the urban boundaries have to be limited, and the city population has not expanded as much as the city has expanded. So it is growing outwards, but there is no development inside the city. So I would like to preserve the wetlands of this area in and around Ottawa, and make sure that our drainage system and our sewage system, they are segregated for storm drainage as well as for sewage, making sure that we are not encroaching upon the lands where the migratory birds like Canadian geese, they come and habitate during the summer. So those are very important things that we as a city mayor have to look into that and make sure that our city is not expanding at the rate that we are expanding now, and limit the expansion of the city. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have a rebuttal, Mr. McGuire.
Yeah, actually, I didn't answer your whole question, and I apologize. You asked about urban boundaries. I have an issue with the cancellation of the country law estates, with the expansion of development in rural areas, particularly where farmland that is no longer economically viable has been deemed you can't build on it. That means that the farmer who's worked on that land has no access to the equity that they've put into it. And it also doesn't mean, by the way, that the development is stopped. It just moves outside the urban boundary itself. It moves outside the boundary of Ottawa. So we've got people who would have lived in Ottawa, living in Almont and Kemptville and Russell and parts east. We haven't done a thing to stop development in the country. We've just stopped development here.
Okay, no further rebuttals on this question number 1. We'll turn to question number 2. We have a representative from Ottawa Riverkeeper here.